Welcome back to the lab and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going full tactical. We are stress testing viral internet study hacks against the brutal, uncompromising reality of the official Cambridge AS-level Afrikaans mark scheme. You know the drill. Every single year, thousands of candidates bleed perfectly good, easy marks on Section 2's open-ended questions. And why? Because they put their trust in 60-second online shortcuts and social media study gurus instead of looking at the structural realities of the exam rubric. Well, we're putting an end to that right now. We are going to audit the curriculum live, strip away the garbage advice, and discover the actual battle-tested writing strategies verified by Cambridge principal examiners to secure those top marking bands. Consider this your academic reality check. Right off the bat, let's pull up a direct, unfiltered warning from the principal examiner reports. The examiners literally wrote, and I quote, "Answers are not specific to the context given." This single sentence right here exposes the absolute biggest myth floating around on student forums and group chats today. You've probably heard it. It's the myth that claims if you just write more pages, if you just aggressively brain dump every single fancy Afrikaans vocabulary word you've ever memorized onto the paper, you will automatically trick the examiner into giving you more marks. It's the spray and pray method. But as this official report mathematically proves, unstructured page dumping doesn't win points. It actually triggers an immediate marking penalty if your answer ignores the specific context of the prompt. The examiner isn't fooled by your vocabulary if it doesn't answer the question. Let's break down the structural physics of this. Notice the stark night and day difference between volume-based dumping and true analytical depth. Listen, Cambridge is absolutely not running a word count contest. The assessment framework you are up against is a precise, highly calibrated academic benchmark. It specifically prioritizes logical, structured reasoning over superficial breadth. When examiners sit down to grade your paper with their red pens, they are explicitly instructed by the mark scheme to reward deep, contextual analysis. They desperately want to see you take one, maybe two relevant points, anchor them directly to the stimulus material provided in the exam, and explain exactly why something is happening. Writing 5 pages of generic fluff gets you hand cramps and cognitive fatigue. Providing laser-focused depth gets you top-tier marks. Okay, let's look at the theoretical architecture you actually need to achieve that depth. The matrix we're showing here brilliantly illustrates the 3 distinct cognitive domains every single open-ended answer must hit. First up is knowledge and understanding. This is your baseline, your Afrikaans vocabulary, your grammar, your basic comprehension. It's necessary, but it's just the foundation. Second is analysis. This is where you actively break down the stimulus material and explain how its parts work together. And third, the holy grail, is evaluation. This is where you judge the information, weigh the evidence, and make a highly justified conclusion. Now think about it. If a viral hack only teaches you how to memorize complex vocabulary, your answer mathematically hits a ceiling at level 1. You literally cannot physically reach the top marking band because you've offered 0 analysis and 0 evaluation. So how do we build a bulletproof answer that satisfies all 3 domains? You need these 3 non-negotiable structural pillars. First, precise definitions that are used accurately within the specific Afrikaans context of the passage. Second, clear causal relationships. This means mapping out the cause and effect using appropriate linking words, showing the examiner exactly how point A leads to point B. But the real secret weapon, the thing that separates the A grades from the rest, is the third pillar, cross-topic connections. The principal examiner reports explicitly highlight that candidates who can seamlessly link different syllabus areas achieve significantly higher marks. For example, if the text is about youth culture, an elite candidate will connect that back to technology or media influences discussed earlier in the course. That kind of interconnected, high-level architecture is what survives intense examiner scrutiny. Let's transition over to our co-op stress testing lab. We've got 2 testers plugged into the diagnostic consoles right now, trying to write an answer paragraph using these viral online shortcuts. Over on console 1, we have tester Alex. Alex has memorized a massive, pre-written introduction full of incredibly high-level, complex Afrikaans jargon. The strategy? Just blindly paste this exact same paragraph into every single open-ended question, no matter what it asks. So Alex hits enter, the text block runs against the Cambridge mark scheme simulator, and complete structural collapse. Why? Because the generic, prepackaged approach completely fails to establish any link to the specific context given in the stimulus. The Cambridge context-specific approach strictly demands that your very first sentence actively engages with the specific nuances of the prompt. Alex's template didn't do that, so it flatlined. And that brings us directly to what the official reports call Trap 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. Look, It really doesn't matter if you know 10 incredible poetic Afrikaans idioms if you are randomly applying them to a completely unrelated topic just to show off. You absolutely cannot force a pre-memorized generic essay structure into a highly specific open-ended conversation prompt. It's exactly like trying to unlock a delicate bank safe with a rusty chainsaw. Sure, it makes a ton of noise and it feels like you're doing a lot of work, but ultimately it just ruins the contents inside. In Section 2, the specific context provided in the text is your master key. Ignore it, and you lock yourself out of the marks. Let's look over at Console 2. Here we have Tester Sam. Now, Sam is an incredibly fast writer with a massive vocabulary, but Sam has a fatal flaw, completely ignoring the command word of the prompt. Let's say the exam question explicitly asks you to evaluate, but Sam just glances at the topic and starts writing a massive sweeping beskryf, a descriptive response. Even if Sam provides a highly detailed, grammatically flawless, gorgeous description using the best Afrikaans vocabulary possible, the score hits an immediate, unyielding ceiling. Offering zero evaluation when the prompt specifically demanded it means missing the core operational directive of the task entirely. The command word isn't a suggestion. It dictates the entire structural physics of your answer. Warning lights are flashing in the lab, so let's trigger a quick system pause. Right before we blast away the absolute biggest exam lie of the century and show you the exact structural patch you need to save your final grade, I need you to take a second to secure your own academic defense network. Whether you are battling the Cambridge IGCSE, O-levels, AS, or A-levels, relying on bad, unverified study advice will actively compromise your final results. Don't let it happen. Subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @AceTheExams right now and turn on all notifications. We need to lock down that network by focusing strictly on examiner-approved, data-backed mechanics, not some viral shortcut that will fail you on exam day. All right, system secure. Let's inject a high-yield framework into Alex and Sam's workflow. We are introducing a critical concept pulled directly from the source material, the method mark strategy. Now, usually you hear about method marks in math or physics, right? But it applies heavily to Cambridge language assessments too. Marks are actively awarded for the systematic process and clear working of your argument, even if your final conclusion isn't 100% perfect. For an Afrikaans open-ended response, this means explicitly showing the examiner the logical steps of your argument. If you just jump straight to a wild, unsupported conclusion without proving your reasoning using the text, you get 0 method marks. You have to show your work. So how do we actually show that work? We build an unshakable, bulletproof answer paragraph using the Deconstruct, Solve, Evaluate framework. We're going to patch this live. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. You physically highlight the command word and the topic limits. Step 2. Solve systematically. By structuring the argument logically, we highly recommend using a peel structure: point, evidence, explanation, link. This ensures your evidence is literally welded to your analysis and doesn't drop out of compliance midway through the paragraph. Step 3. Evaluate and justify your recommendations based strictly on that evidence. Doing this ensures your topic sentence is laser-focused, and it guarantees your paragraph explicitly evaluates rather than just wandering off into a generic description. Okay, we're shifting into the interactive viewer arena. It's time for a live field audit, and I'm challenging you directly. I want you to act as the Cambridge examiner right now. We're running a 60-second visual sweep on the hypothetical text block up on the screen, which was written using one of those viral online templates. Your mission: spot exactly where the fake shortcut breaks down and where a massive formatting error completely forfeits points. Look closely at how this information is visually presented. Does it actually follow a logical sequence, or is it just a wall of words? Examiners spot these formatting critical failures in seconds. You need to train your brain to do the exact same thing under pressure. Look at the spacing. Look at the transitions. What's missing? Time's up. If you pointed your finger straight at the complete lack of clear paragraphing and the casual, incorrect terminology mixed in, you nailed the audit. The Cambridge source material is incredibly adamant about strict procedural conventions. Your physical presentation on the page matters. It must include proper headings if the specific task requires them, absolutely correct and formal terminology, appropriate formats, and crystal clear paragraph annotation. You cannot just submit a solid, uninterrupted block of text that spans 2 pages and expect the examiner to go prospecting for your points like a tired gold miner. Your structure must explicitly, visually signal your underlying logic. This directly exposes Trap 2 from the Principal Examiner reports, which simply states, students forget to check format and presentation. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. You can have the most brilliant, insightful analysis of the Afrikaans text in the entire world, but it means absolutely nothing if it is delivered in the wrong format. Think about examiner fatigue for a second. These professionals are marking hundreds of papers a day. If they turn the page and encounter a chaotic, unstructured brain dump that completely ignores the established conventions of an open-ended response, cognitive fatigue sets in immediately. They aren't going to hunt for your brilliance. Applying the correct format isn't just about making it look pretty, it is a core professional skill being tested. To permanently immunize yourself against these formatting traps and cognitive failures, you need to run your answers through this fluid, 5-step protective process every single time. First, identify the key elements from the stimulus text. Second, apply relevant principles, like those cross-topic connections we talked about earlier. Third, execute your analysis using clear, logical peel steps. Fourth, verify your results, meaning stop and literally ask yourself, did I actually answer the command word? And fifth, present the entire thing in the appropriate structured format. Implementing this standardized sequence completely replaces panic-induced chaotic page dumping with a cold, calculated, point-scoring machine that the examiners will love. Now, for the final cognitive target. Securing the absolute highest top-band marks relies entirely on higher-order evaluation. The elite top-scoring candidates never just regurgitate facts from the text. They engage in deep, critical analysis. For example, if a prompt subtly assumes that all urban youth in South Africa prefer speaking English, a top-tier AS-level Afrikaans answer will actively question that assumption. They might evaluate the modern resurgence of regional Afrikaans dialects or the impact of mixed-language media on platforms like TikTok. They consider radically different perspectives, and most importantly, they heavily justify their decisions with concrete evidence. Moving beyond the obvious text and providing that level of evaluation is exactly where the true high-tariff marks are won. So, as Alex and Sam review their newly patched high-scoring text blocks in the lab, the final verdict is flashing green on the monitors. It is undeniably clear. Systematic structure always defeats viral hacks. The myth of the generic template is officially busted. Trying to game the Cambridge mark scheme with pre-memorized jargon or sheer volume-based dumping is a guaranteed path to failure and mark volatility. Instead, relying on the method mark strategy, strictly adhering to your command words, and deploying deep, context-specific analysis using the Peel framework are your ultimate unshakable weapons for surviving the examiner's grid. To wrap up today's explainer, let's distill this entire session into 3 universal truths you need to take into the exam room. Remember to run a 3-step command word scan before your pen even touches the paper. Budget your time strictly to ensure analytical quality over sheer page volume. And always perform a post-writing quality audit to check your context and your formatting. Now I turn the lab over to you. What is the weirdest, most ridiculous exam hack you've encountered online, and how do you think it holds up to this rigorous 3-step scan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that notification bell for Ace the Exams so you don't miss our next myth-busting session. Keep analyzing, keep evaluating, and we'll see you in the next explainer.